thank you so much for stopping by and seeing what I am up to today. If you don't know who I am, I like to call myself the Humble Bumble, and I am pollinating the world with the good news of the gospel. Here lately on my channel, I have been talking about things that Christians on average typically don't like to talk about. Last week, I put out a couple of videos about sexual abuse in the church house. I talked very honestly about something that had happened to me in the church house when I was a choir leader. And when that happens, we're told to be quiet. This happened to me 3 years ago. And for the people out there who seem to think that I am absolutely cruel, that I have just put this man on blast, you would be wrong. Because it has been 3 years, many conversations, and so many things has taken place in those 3 years that led me to the point that I was today. And no, I did not start my YouTube channel for this reason, but it does actually coincide and go along with what I'm trying to do here. I want to stand up for the people who are being bullied in the church house. You know, I was bullied in the church house for years with many different things. If you watched the video that I put out last week of me in my pajamas at the Solace Center singing while my mother is passing away, you can tell I was so out of practice. This is my story. This is my song, praising myself. I remembered the words to that song, but I really didn't. I had not sang for 10 years. That was the first time I think that I had really opened my mouth to sing. And I did it for my mom because she was passing away. And Blessed Assurance actually happens to be the very song that my papa requested for me to sing to him before he died. So it has a lot of meaning in my family. But I just wanted to jump on here for just a minute, and I would like to give you an update about some things that I do know that happened. And honestly, guys, this is public knowledge. I'm not gossiping. There's nothing to gossip about. When I talked to a legal representative, they let me know that even if I were to use his full name, that I was allowed to do that. But because I'm being nice, guys, I'm not. And I'm trying to do this in such a way that only the people that it's relevant to, they are the ones who are really going to understand. But I am also going to say that since it has happened, guys, I've been called names. I was actually called dumb. Literally, there are people trying to say that I have a mental disability. That somehow, because I have a mental disability, I deserved this. I suppose. I really don't know. But what I do know is that I am a human being, just like they are also human beings. And even though I am upset at this whole situation and the fact that they would behave that way and call themselves Christians, guys, I am not going to call you any names. I am not going to gossip. I did not say anything that I did not have proof for. And if you say anything that you do not have solid proof for, this is gossip. I do not have a mental disability. I am completely capable. If I was not, I am sure that I would not be able to do all the videos and editing that I do. Yes, I do get depressed just like anybody else. I'm allowed to do that. I'm a human being. But guess what? So are you. But the only difference is that when I stand before God with what this man has done to me, I'm not going to be guilty at all. And I'm not going to have any blood on my hands. I've helped the people who need to know be very aware that this man is a sexual predator. And until the day that he is dead, as long as he tries to preach the gospel, if the Lord allows me to find out, and there are families, especially children, thank God there's no children that really go to that church right now except a couple. And they're so little, you know. I get messed up when we talk about children. Okay, but anyhow, there's not many children at all that go to that church. And I know, being in the church system all of my life, that if he thinks that this ruined my reputation, he would also be wrong. It might have ruined my reputation for the small group of people over there in Jonathan Creek, but it did not ruin my reputation for the bigger part, because you know what? There is an awful lot of people coming out right now about sexual abuse. And if anything, I am standing up to help those women, to help those men, even to speak up, to have a voice. I'm being brave enough to do this. People probably thought I was crazy when I got on here crying the other day. But you know what? I was just at my wit's end, and I did it on camera. But that's okay, because I know that you're a human being and there's nothing new under the sun, and you have feelings and you get hurt too. It's just I decided to put mine out there and make myself vulnerable, to put myself on the line, so that everybody, every human being that has a voice, that has a breath in their body, can see that we can fight this. What we didn't think we were capable of doing, we absolutely are capable of doing it. I want to take you guys with me through the whole thing. But I was asked by someone to say something very quick about this situation. So for the people who it does concern, the church that I was the choir leader at, the man who did this to me, his initials are BF. The man that currently preaches there, I believe his name is Philip. And he is a very nice man. I have met him. I don't have any qualms with him. But for whatever reason, I want to be specific that the man that did this to me is no longer preaching at the church that I was a choir leader at. You know, just for the record, just for the ones who need to know, I'm not trying to blame this on anyone who doesn't deserve it. I'm only trying to help open the eyes of the congregation and the people who know this man, so that they can protect themselves when he might come to them and ask them to do the same thing. If he did it to me, he's very capable of doing it to you. Okay, so I'm going to shut the door on that for a minute, but I will eventually talk more about it. It's just today I would like to briefly go over what it's like to be in the valley. When we are in the valley, and it seems like most of our lives, you know, whether we have problems with finances or a death or whatever it may be, that puts us in the valley. And even though we might be going through a period, it seemed like I went through a 6-year depression after my mom died, is what it seemed like. And I didn't understand why. But what I do know now is that God used those 6 years to help me to experience what it was like to go through the life, to walk in the shoes of someone who was depressed, because I had never felt that before. And now I can have compassion on those people, and I can talk to them, you know, on a level that I couldn't have done before. In fact, I went to go and get therapy because this was the first time I had ever went through this. I had no idea what was going on. So I went to therapy. I went to group therapy and all that. They put me on pills and stuff. It didn't help. It did not help at all. And I had taken pills for probably about a year. And then one day I decided no more. I couldn't do it anymore. I stopped taking those pills. And it caused me to stay up for 2 days solid. My husband had to force me to go to sleep. Apparently my body was going through withdrawal. I had no idea that I was even messed up on that stuff. I had no clue. I was just taking it like the doctor prescribed it. Guess what though? Nothing good come from it. Nothing good. It only masked my problems. It only masked them. It didn't help me. So I started to realize that even group therapy wasn't helping me. It was a very sad truth. Everybody else that was in group therapy with me was there because they were court ordered. They were there because they had to, so they could see their kids. There was a reason that they were in group therapy. And they just threw anybody with a problem in this room. I didn't understand that one. I felt like a guinea pig. I felt like I was a number. And I had to start calling out to God because I realized they didn't want better for me. They didn't. They say they do, but they don't really. And if I had stayed on those pills, I probably wouldn't be able to carry on a conversation with nobody today. So I went in and I told my therapist that I no longer wanted to go to therapy because I was a choir leader. I had decided that I solely wanted to go to church and rely on the Lord Jesus Christ to help me through because I wanted to lean on Him. And ever since, that is what I have done. And so I have to say that just because you think that you would have went about what I did a different way, to each their own. Work out your own salvation through fear and trembling. But what I do know is that if you stand behind that man and you continue to listen to him, there's really nothing else that I can do. I told you it was the truth. And the response that I've got back in return is they're calling me names. And they're saying the most terrible things about me. I didn't deserve what happened to me. Nobody deserves what happens to them, no matter what abuse that it is. They didn't deserve it. Male or female, child or adult, they didn't deserve it. An abuser deserves to be exposed. And when that abuser gets exposed, the victim doesn't need to be the one that has to feel like they were in the wrong. I didn't ruin my reputation. He might think that I did. The people that go to that church and some of the people that know him, maybe his wife, think that my reputation is ruined. But guys, I didn't do anything. He is the one that came to me trying to be sexual. I shut it down. He was the pervert, not me. A preacher man is not capable of doing something as wicked as he did. We are human, so we can all fall, but the extent of what he did, that goes far above the boundaries of a good tree. So far and away, and a good tree cannot have bitter fruit. That is all that I have to say. But to each their own. Work out your own salvation. I just wouldn't give you a dime for his. But honestly, guys, I had a question for so many years because I have a beautiful home. I actually live in the very same home that I grew up in. My daddy, when he passed, he gift-deeded it to me. So I was able to move back into my home, and now I've been here for like the last 5 years. And so I'm very blessed given that within itself. I am also blessed because I am married to a man who can build a house from bottom to top. And he does such a very good job. And he works for some very important clients. So he helps me to restore my home. And I also have, so many wonderful things. But at the same time, just like last week with what happened, I'd put out my video and then the next day we had a death. I wasn't expecting it to happen that fast. We thought we had a couple more weeks with her. But no, my husband's mother, she passed away so fast. It's almost like she defied all the rules, When it comes to death, I am telling you, you better be ready. Don't be like those 5 virgins that didn't have their oil ready. Let's be prepared. But anyhow, my question is, with what happened last week and all that was going on, but with all the wonderful things that I have and how God continues to bless me, God, how is it that I can be on the mountain and in the valley at the very same time? I asked that question for so many years until finally I feel like God revealed the answer to me. I like to think of it like the children of Israel. When the children of Israel left slavery in Egypt, Moses was leading them into the land of milk and honey. The land of milk and honey was the mountain. Egypt was the valley. And that 40-year journey in between, that was in between the valley and the mountain. And if you've read the Bible, there's a story in it. It talks about how the children of Israel were getting really upset because they wanted some more food. The manna from heaven, apparently, it just was not good enough. And God was giving them manna from heaven, but they wanted some meat. And so they kept praying and kept praying and kept on and kept on and kept on. And what did God do? He sent them quails, but he also sent them a plague at the very same time. They were trying to get it on their own time. They weren't trying to get it on God's time. And so he sent a plague along with the quails. But that journey that was in between, that was being in between the valley and the mountain. We will never actually be on the mountain until we get to the other side with the Lord Jesus Christ. That is the mountain. The land of milk and honey. That's the mountain. And everything that I'm doing right now, everything in between. I'm just I'm just a trespasser. I'm just making my way through, that's all. But I will tell you that the valley, even though it is hard, I wouldn't have it any other way, because that's where God has made me so strong. And that is where I learned to pray. That's where I have learned how to put on the armor. That is where I am now learning to help other people like you. So I just want to thank you so much for being on this journey with me. Let me take you with me on my spiritual journey, so that if anything like this happens to you, that you'll know how to deal with it. I'm going to go ahead and sing a song that I think you guys are really going to enjoy. It's not a hymn, but this is absolutely beautiful. It's got so much meaning. It's by the McCameys, and it's called This Valley Is For Me, because this valley is for me. It's meant for me. It's meant for you. The valley is where God chastises us. The valley is where we grow. The valley is where we learn to pray. The valley is where we learn to struggle. But this is God fashioning us and turning us into what we ought to be, what He would have us to be. As I look down this mountainside, I can see where this road goes. The shepherd is leading me to a place where I can grow. Though it seems to be a trying test, I have no doubt He knows what's best. It might just be a place of perfect rest. This valley is for me. This valley is for me. The waters have been made so sweet, a pleasant rest for my weary feet. This valley is for me, a far cry from the mountain sea. The grass here has been made so green. My shepherd chose this route, so I can say without a doubt, this valley is for me. Standing here beside still waters, I know why I am here today. This place of restoration will strengthen me along the way. Through the valley I can feel His presence here is oh so real. And now I know it was His perfect will. This valley is for me. This valley is for me. The waters have been made so sweet, a pleasant rest for my weary feet. This valley is for me, a far cry from the mountain sea. The grass here has been made so green. My shepherd chose this route, so I can say without a doubt, praise God, this valley is for me. You know, guys, it's for the both of us. Thank you so much for sticking with me. I am so glad that you have made it this far, and if you have and you haven't, would you consider subscribing to my channel and becoming a part of what God is doing in my ministry? I just know that somebody out there is going to grow for God, because whether you are saved, unsaved, confused, just looking for something to believe in, I know that we have a conversation, and one day we've got something that we're going to talk about. But I also want to let you guys know, just for the ones who have stuck with me till the end, I wrote another ditty, only this one is actually not a full song. It's going to make an intro to one of my videos, but it's really awesome. The Lord has given me something very special, so be looking forward to that. I just got to get some music put behind it because this literally came from my mind. And also, if you didn't know, I finally got 200 subscribers, so I was able to get that personal website URL with YouTube. It's youtube.com/the Humble Bumble Music. Don't forget about the humblebumblemusic.com. Guys, there's so many ways that you can be a part of what I am doing, and I just want to thank each and every one of you. I know that somebody out there is going to grow for God. I want to tell you that I love you because I really do. Jesus commanded us when he died for us to love our neighbor and for us to love our God more than anything else in this world. And as long as we keep those 2 commandments, we'll keep the other 10, I promise. And I want to tell each and every one of you that I love you and that I hope that you have a beautiful and blessed day.